And hello, everyone. I'm so happy that you're all here with me this evening and that we get to talk about plant-powered nutrition and how to incorporate more plants to really help to fuel us, not just for our health, but also for our life and our athletic activities. So that's really what the point of this discussion is today. And just to start off, I wanted to share a little bit about the Iron Vegan brand because that is what I'll be talking about. So Iron Vegan is all about plant-based living and plant-powered living. So we really believe in the power of plants and how they can help to contribute to a healthier world. So we're really dedicated to the strength and resiliency of the earth. And our purpose is to really elevate the world to its true nature through the power of conscious consumption. So consuming plants. And when each of us finds our true nature, the whole world really comes alive. So we really believe in that plant-powered living because it means a healthier world and a healthier you. So I really hope you can take a lot away from this presentation. Now, this really started off as a movement for supporting plant-forward athletes, and it really quickly expanded to wellness seekers, so people who really care about ingredients and sourcing and want to share that passion with their community. And for everyday adventurers, so people who really want to take things to their next level with their adventures and enjoyment outside. And then for you, the customer. So this is the everyday person, whether you are that outdoor adventurer, a heavy athlete, or just somebody who's really plant conscious. But there are areas that we all need extra support in. So I think you could probably all agree, we're not meeting all of our needs every single day. So what are some areas that we need further support in? So it doesn't matter what your day looks like. We all need that support, whether you're running a marathon or you just have a marathon of Zoom meetings all day, we need that extra help. But there are things that are often preventing us from reaching our goals. So it could be stressors in your life. So that could be trying to find that very delicate balance of work life, which we all struggle with, to our nutrition. So either skipping meals or maybe not making the best choices to really nourish our bodies, as well, not knowing what supplements or superfoods can really help you out. You know, there's a ton out there. When you go to a store, there's lots and lots of different things on a shelf, and it can be really confusing, or you could end up purchasing something that doesn't really work for you in the end. So we're going to look at a couple of examples, and let's see if you identify with these individuals. So first, I want you to meet Jill. She works 40 plus hours a week. She has a lot of days that are spent in back-to-back Zoom meetings, so she's really busy, run off her feet all day long. And then in her free time, she enjoys walking her dog, playing with her kids in the park, and she likes to do a little bit of exercise by running a couple times a week. And then we also have Joe. So Joe is an endurance athlete. He cycles over 40 kilometers per day. And in the summer, he's training for lots of different summer races. He really loves the outdoors, and he also goes swimming regularly on the weekend. So he has a lot of extra demands because he's a really dedicated athlete. Now, our stress response can be triggered by different things. So both of those individuals are experiencing stress. We all are experiencing stress, but different things can be triggering that. So it could be that hard day at the office with a lot of different deadlines and just stresses that keep piling up. Or it could be that race that you're competing in and you're really pushing the limit of your body. But regardless of what's causing that stress, this is what's actually happening in your body when you're stressed. So our stress hormone cortisol is increasing our blood pressure and our blood sugar while it's depressing our immune system. Our brain is getting really sharp and activated, which in turn is keeping us awake rather than getting sleepy. Our digestion is going to slow down or stop completely because all those resources need to go to other parts of the body, like getting oxygen and nutrients to our muscles. And we're also getting that adrenaline release to increase our strength so we can literally fight or run away, whatever might be necessary. So when we think about that in the context of our two examples, what does Jill need? Well, she's going to need some nutritional support to support her brain health and all of her physical endeavors, both at work and at play. She's going to need proper hydration. She also would really benefit from mindfulness practices so that she can switch from being in work mode to more of Jill mode. And she could use some additional support, so that would be some key superfoods and nutrients to really help her achieve all of her goals, whether it be work-related or in her pastimes. And what does Joe need? So his needs are going to be similar because he's also a human being. So he's going to need solid nutrition. And this is going to be really important because he has all of those physical endeavors that he's trying to get after and achieve. And he also needs support for recovery. And he also needs proper hydration, essentially because he is using up more of all of the fluid in his body by sweating it out, breathing really hard. He also is going to need those mindfulness practices, what works for him, so that he can go from being in that workout mode to relaxing and recovering. And he also is going to need some additional support through some key nutrients and superfoods. But first, we have to look at why we might not be achieving some of our goals. So for you, when you think about yourself, maybe you're not feeling your best, or there's something a goal that you've been trying to achieve and you just can't get quite there. Oftentimes it's because we are not prioritizing something that our body actually needs. And we often have to look at the underlying cause to get those better results. So looking at your day-to-day habits can be really key in helping you to figure out what that might be. Because oftentimes when we have a stressful lifestyle and stressful things going on in our life, it creates that cascade of events where then you're not necessarily prioritizing what you should be eating and how to nourish yourself well, and not getting those extra things that you need from supplements. So let's dig into stress a little bit more and just get a better understanding of what the difference is between good stress and bad stress. Because of course, not all stress is bad for us. It's when we have too much of it that it becomes a problem. So Hans Selye is a Canadian scientist. He actually coined the term good stress or eustress, as well as bad stress or distress. And a simple way to look at this question of how stress affects sport performance specifically is to consider the dichotomy between good stress and bad stress. So for an athlete who's really striving for and achieving greatness, he or she is taking that stressful sensation, so the same sensation that we might be feeling, so anxiety, tension, those butterflies, but they're converting it into a heightened state where they have more energy and better concentration, as well as increased confidence. So they are feeling those feelings of good stress. So big difference between what we feel when we have bad stress versus good stress. But bad stress, like I said, is where things become problematic. So as you can see from this human function curve, we get to a point where our performance increases with that good stress. We get up to our comfort zone. But once we start to reach that peak, we get to a point where we start to get exhausted. We're tired. We've reached that slump. And then it's that real tipping point of either staying on that positive side of the good stress, or if we push it too far, it goes on for too long, that it pushes into that distress or bad stress. And as you can see, it slopes down pretty quickly if we don't get it under control. At first, it might just be fatigue, but that soon becomes exhaustion. Then you start to see issues with your health breaking down. So we certainly don't want to get to that place. So it's always good to evaluate for yourself. Where are you on that scale? Have you reached your breaking point? Hopefully not, because it is harder to come back. Not saying that you can't come back, but it is harder to come back from that breaking point or the point of no return than if you can support your body from the very start and throughout the process. Now, if you're already somewhere kind of in the middle of that scale, don't worry. You can certainly do things now that can help to support your body so that you won't go any further in that direction that we don't want to go. But as I said, there is a potential if you let things continue that it can move into that cascade of illness and being unwell. And so your body really does need a constant support of nutrition as well as healthy lifestyle habits so that you can remain healthy and vibrant and to be able to do all the things that you want to do. So when it comes to reaching our optimal self state, it's through resilience. So this is a word that you've probably heard being talked about a fair bit. It's certainly not a new concept, but I think it is getting a lot more attention and people are starting to understand what resiliency is and how to develop that, because it just certainly is something that you have to work at. And it's not really about necessarily what the circumstances are of your life, but what you can do to really help yourself respond in that situation. So it's focusing on the how instead of the why. So we can't necessarily control the why of things, but we certainly can focus on and do things in terms of how we can function, how we can respond in some of those situations. So resiliency is a muscle. As I said, it's something that takes practice. We have to use a muscle like resiliency in order for it to become a bit easier. So it's something that develops over time. So if it's a practice that is a little bit hard for you right now, try not to stress about it. That certainly isn't going to help. But just think about maybe one small step towards getting to that end goal that you have in terms of making some improvements for yourself. One little thing can really make a difference in the long run, especially when you can make that into a habit. So focusing on that one thing and doing that over and over makes it easier, and then you can add in something else. Now, back to those key areas that we all need support. We're going to break these down and look at them one by one. So starting off with energy. So sometimes our energy can be really low. I think people are struggling a lot right now. It's no coincidence that today is a big day in terms of talking about mental health. And a lot of people will rely on quick fixes so that they can try to boost up their energy levels. So I would love to know what is your go-to for an energy boost. So Melissa is going to put that poll, and if you guys want to throw in some answers there, I would love to know what you might gravitate towards in to get your little energy boost. I don't see any answers coming through just yet, but we'll just give that a second. So I'll tell you what one of my go-tos is. I'm actually not a huge coffee drinker. I drink maybe half a cup a day, but if I'm feeling pretty sluggish, then that's probably one of my main go-tos, or I might actually have a little bit more. But I certainly like choosing a lot of the more natural options. And one of the things that I'm going to talk about a little bit later, one of the Iron Vegan products. So it looks like coffee is the most popular, and I'm not surprised at all. Coffee certainly is a go-to for most people, and it's certainly very effective at helping us to wake up and to be able to function better when we're feeling that lack of energy. So all of these examples are the things that were in the poll. So coffee, different kinds of sugary drinks just to get that quick boost of glucose, as well Energizer drinks, which often combine caffeine with sugar, and then sugary foods. So things that are just like quick carbs that can help to rev you up if you're feeling down. And not to say those things are necessarily all bad, but it's all about how much you're consuming at one time. And with coffee, like commonly any caffeinated beverage, caffeine can result in the jitters. So how many times have you had one too many glasses or mugs of whatever kind of caffeinated beverage, and you just feel like you're buzzing and not in a good way? There's also a lot of artificial sweeteners and sugar alcohols in a lot of these beverages that can cause a lot of gastrointestinal issues. So it's best to try and steer clear of having too many of those, just to keep your gut and your body a little bit happier. So what's happening when you're drinking coffee straight? It's impacting your nervous system. So it's sending signals to your brain to shut off the sleepy signals, and it's keeping you more awake so then you can do what you need to do. So that's not all bad, but like I said, it can cause in excess some of those jittery feelings. It can heighten anxiety, can also cause gastrointestinal issues. So too much isn't necessarily a good thing. But what's trending right now and has been trending for a while is coffee elixirs. So some of you have probably enjoyed some coffee elixirs yourselves. And they certainly a great way to combine the best of both worlds. So getting caffeine as well as all of these ingredients that are in elixirs like adaptogens. So there's lots of cool research out there, and a lot of this is really focusing more on that athletic side. So adaptogens are really working to balance out our emotional and physical stress. So they're helping to dampen down some of those feelings that would lead to anxiousness and inflammation down the line. And by helping to balance your cortisol levels, adaptogens can help us to feel the stimulating benefits of coffee, but without those feelings of stress or anxiety or the jitters that you would normally get. So they really help to balance one another out. So let's look at some natural energizers that can help to support performance and resilience. So whether you're looking for something for athletic endeavors, or you just need something for work performance, or just to help you be able to manage life a little bit better. So first off, we have Maca. So Maca is a very well-known root, comes from South America. It's consumed as a sports supplement for strength and endurance athletes, but it is also a natural stimulant for sexual drive. So you see people coming into health food stores and supplement stores looking for this root in particular for either one of those reasons. So there's a number of studies that have been done on Maca, but an interesting one that looked at cyclists and their cardio output as well as their sexual desire. So they tested these athletes by getting them to supplement with this for a couple of weeks and then looking at the results. And they found that all the cyclists who use this for 2 weeks had improved cycling time trials, as well as on a scoring sheet for their sexual desire that also had improved. So some really great benefits in a number of different ways with Maca. Then we have mushrooms, which are one of my personal favorites in general. I'm obsessed. And there's so many different mushrooms out there, but today I'm focusing on just a few. So reishi, cordyceps, and lion's mane. So they are also adaptogens. So they're these smart substances that work with our existing health state, and they help us to be able to manage stress better. So whether that's environmental stress, physical stress, or mental stress. And then we also have astragalus. So this is another well-known South American root. Astragalus is one of the most important in energy or qi in traditional Chinese medicine, and has a long, long history of medicinal use. So in pharmacological studies, the extract component of the astragalus root has been shown to support our health as an antioxidant, as an anti-inflammatory, and also having immunoregulatory benefits, so helping our immune response. So when you combine all of those ingredients together, Iron Vegan has created the Balanced Energy Blend. So this has really been designed to support energy output and to combat mental fatigue at a very foundational level. And the beauty of this is that there's no sugar, alcohols, artificial flavors, colors, or sweeteners. I didn't take this today. I actually did have some coffee today, but this is definitely a go-to for me if I don't want to actually have coffee. So there's a couple of flavors. This is the roasted coffee. I love it because it's got all of those organic mushrooms in it. It's gluten-free, so anybody who's got gluten issues, there's no worries. It's also vegan because Iron Vegan products are all about being 100% plant-based. This is made with Brazilian coffee beans, and it's also a product that's made within Canada. And as I mentioned already, it helps to increase energy, it combats mental fatigue, and it's a great source of all of those wonderful adaptogens. And it also has no artificial sugars, flavors, or colors. So you can actually use this in one of two ways, cold or hot. So if you, right now, being winter, if you want a hot beverage, I highly encourage you to just add it to a hot plant milk or just to water and enjoy it like that. But you can also have it like it's an iced coffee. Now, the coffee beans are decaffeinated, so there's going to be very, very minimal amount of caffeine in it. But this is a great go-to if you want that morning pickup, or if you want to use this before you go and do a workout to give yourself a little boost if you do afternoon workouts without having to worry about that caffeine spike that then makes you not sleep. There's also the iced tea lemonade flavor. So this one is totally caffeine free. And all the points of difference and the benefits are the same as the previous flavor. It's just a different flavor, and there's no caffeine in this one. And you can also enjoy this hot or cold. I loved this one in the summer in particular. It was so delicious and refreshing on a hot day. Now, we're going to keep talking about stress a little bit more, but in a slightly different context, more about how stress impacts the body from a free radical perspective. So we know that life is coming at us all the time, and that free radicals are being produced from the body's response to that stress. And that stress can come in many different ways. And that free radical damage can come in many ways. So it can either just be the stressors of life, some of the things that I already discussed. It can be from excessive alcohol intake, from eating a lot of charred foods, from pollutant exposure. So that could be anything from things in the air, what you're consuming in your foods, as well as radiation exposure, or smoke inhalation, which also could kind of be a pollutant air pollution exposure. So all of these things are going to have a negative impact on our body because they're increasing free radical production in our body. And free radicals are not good because they're actually aging us. So I wanted to know how often each of you is experiencing stress. And I feel for the small percentage that is going through constant stress. And I hope that you can do some things that can help you to feel better. And hopefully some of these products and some lifestyle habits can really help. And it is still alarming to see that most of the time, a good percentage of you guys also are experiencing stress. But I fully recognize we're also living in unprecedented times. So that is a bit of a challenge. But hopefully you can find some tools, some things even today that can help to make some positive changes for you. So let's look a little bit further at antioxidant protection against all those free radicals. So antioxidants are protecting us. So from a scientific level, what they're doing is they're donating an electron to a hungry and unstable free radical. So they're making that free radical stable and no longer a problem for the body. And there are tons of different antioxidants out there. So every antioxidant is unique in both how they act from a chemical perspective as well as biological properties. So we have to get a variety of different antioxidants, and that comes through foods that we're consuming as well as supplements that we're taking. And there's some really cool research when it comes to antioxidants and how they can impact our recovery after stressful events or exercise. So some of this research was following intense muscle damaging exercise, as well as reducing muscle failure. So when you just can't lift or do your physical activity any longer. But what it comes down to, the bottom line, is that intense physical activity or intense periods of stress are creating free radicals that are damaging our body, our cells, and can also prolong athletic recovery. But antioxidants are helping to reduce those free radicals, thankfully. And increasing our antioxidant consumption can actually help improve our athletic performance. So there are a few examples on the screen right here. If you think about all the colorful fruits and vegetables on the planet, they're all going to contain antioxidants in some form. But some foods are going to be much higher in antioxidants than others. And we know berries contain a ton. So this is where Tart cherry juice is really an MVP. So there's quite a few clinical trials that have shown some really positive benefits of Tart cherry juice for athletes. So One such study looked at runners who were consuming either the Tart cherry juice or a placebo for 5 days before their race and then 2 days after their marathon. And the Tart cherry group, no surprise, had reduced inflammation markers and showed a faster recovery. And another study that was involving intense resistant exercises, the participants that used it also noticed a decrease in their muscle soreness and improved strength recovery. So I think really strong evidence to show us how beneficial Tart cherry juice can be in supporting athletic recovery. And I don't know about you, but I want to recover as quickly as possible from any intense activity that I've done, whether it's a long bike ride, an intense hike, or lifting weights. Now, when we switch to looking at the digestive side, we want to look at some digestive aids specifically. So first off, ginger, such a wonderful root. It's really commonly used in cuisine, but it also has benefit when you use it more in supplement form. So it's known as the stimulator. So it's in herbal medicine known as a carminative. So it can help to reduce gas within the digestive tract. And it also helps to reduce bloating and improve digestion in the stomach. And I personally love using ginger anytime I have a little bit of an upset stomach. Then we've got artichoke. So artichoke is known as the mover. So it's rich in a compound called cynarin, and that's been shown to help stimulate bile production and help to improve peristalsis. So it's helping to continue that digestive process. And then papaya. So this is the eliminator. So papaya has a proteolytic enzyme called papain. So this is from the raw fruit itself. And a proteolytic enzyme is just helping to break down proteins into their smaller fragments and then making them easier for digestion. And studies also show that in addition to helping to break down those proteins, that it can also help to support proper elimination, which we all need. And then we go back to my favorites, mushrooms. So there's a little bit of overlap here with a few of the mushrooms. This is reishi, chaga, and lion's mane. So as I mentioned, I'm crazy about mushrooms. They're certainly an it food right now because of those really powerful adaptogenic properties. So they're helping with increasing energy as well as that resistance to stress. So we've combined all of those wonderful plant-based ingredients into the Superfoods and Greens blend. So this comes in two awesome flavor options. One is unflavored, the other is pineapple orange. So really what the benefit is that you're getting some of those organic mushrooms with those adaptogenic properties, as well as a blend of fermented sprouted grains and seeds, along with all of those digestive supports that are plant-based and land, sea, and greens blends combined in a raw and vegan and gluten-free blend. So it's a really comprehensive blend of ingredients that can really help to support your day. This is another great way of supporting energy as well as helping with that recovery. So what are some areas that we all need further support in? Now we're moving on to our complete recovery phase. So some interesting research on some key superfoods when it comes to recovery. So L-theanine, this is an amino acid which you might be familiar with, that you may have seen on the shelves of Nature's Fair. It's known as our Zen amino acid. So you might also know it if you drink green tea, because green tea is naturally high in L-theanine. So this has been regarded as a really excellent way of promoting focus as well as feeling calm. So it's great for any individual who just wants something to help sort of calm and chill themselves out. And then we have holy basil. So holy basil is another herb. It's another leaf that helps to calm the mind and support the body. So this is also an adaptogen. And evidence really shows that this is a safe herbal intervention, not only to help normalize glucose, blood pressure, and lipid profiles, but also for that stress response. So psychological as well as immunological stress. So a lot of really fantastic health benefits just in one plant. That's where plants are so amazing, and we need to be learning more about them. So a couple more, we've already talked about tart cherry in terms of some of its benefits for supporting our recovery. So it has strong anti-inflammatory properties. So that's why it's so great for recovery after strenuous exercise. And then ashwagandha. So I said mushrooms were one of my favorites out there for adaptogens. I think ashwagandha is probably head to head with it, pretty even, as this is another fantastic root that also supports our stress response. But from an athletic side of things, it also supports increases in muscle mass and strength. So it has applications for just general stress support, but also from that athletic side of things. And then turmeric, a root that we all know and love. So it's very well known. It's been touted for its anti-inflammatory action. And from an athletic perspective, it's been studied for its benefit towards reducing DOMS, or delayed onset muscle soreness, which I'm pretty sure most of us have experienced at least once in our life. So turmeric's another favorite that I absolutely love. So we've combined all of those wonderful ingredients in the Rebound Recovery. So Rebound Recovery is really designed to put your body and your mind into an optimal self state. And it's doing this by promoting relaxation as well as helping to relieve inflammation with all of those anti-inflammatory ingredients. So this is something that you can have once a day, whether it's after you've done some exercise, or like me, I've got my glass here, just a way to relax at the end of a busy day. So this also is containing organic mushrooms. So this just has chaga mushroom. It's a gluten-free blend, vegan as always. It's great because it's also caffeine-free. So there's no worry if you want to use it at the end of the night, kind of more as like an evening elixir for calming and winding down at the end of the day. It's not going to keep you awake. And it's helping to promote relaxation, relieving inflammation, and it has those key ingredients for anti-inflammatory action with tart cherry and with turmeric. It's got no artificial flavors, colors, or sweeteners. So all of these beverages that I've talked about tonight have stevia and or monk fruit as their sweeteners. So this you can enjoy hot or cold, just like all the other ones. And I've only had it cold, but I'm sure it would taste just as delicious if it was served as a nice, almost like a cup of tea at the end of the day. So we've covered a lot of areas already. We've looked at how to support our energy and how to kind of charge us up for the day or charge us up for any athletic endeavor. We've also talked about how to support our recovery, so how to wind down, how to recover after doing some intense exercise. But we've missed one important part, and that's just general fuel for our body, things to keep the body going. So this is where we're going to start to look at protein. But first, let's look at what's really driving people to choose plant-based. So I'm sure for the individuals who at the front end of this presentation had said that they only consume plants, that they've chosen a plant-based lifestyle for a number of different reasons. Some of the most popular and also important ones include our health. So there's lots of evidence to support how eating more plants is really beneficial for our overall health. It's also sustainable. So people are becoming even more aware of sustainability for our planet as we're seeing how things are changing and what we can do. And that ties in very much with the environment and how we want to really preserve our earth and have it around for many more years. Plus, there's the very obvious of animal concerns and ethics. So, of course, people are choosing this because they're wanting to care for animals and to be making decisions that can keep all of the creatures on the planet safe. So when we think back to some of those plant-based benefits from a health perspective, so research shows that eating plant-based is a really cost-effective as well as low-risk way of helping to lower body mass mass index. So helping to reduce weight if that's something that's needed. It's also helpful for reducing blood pressure, as well as inflammation markers and cholesterol. So some pretty major areas that we see a lot of people struggle with throughout their lives. But a common question is plant protein enough? So this is something that people talk about or ask often because they're just not sure if they're getting enough protein from just consuming plants. Well, this isn't necessarily a straight answer because certainly some plants don't have as broad of an amino acid profile, so all of those amino acids to make up a complete protein, but you're never eating just one plant at once. You're always eating plants in combination with other foods. So when you combine them right, then you can get that full amino acid profile. So some of these myths might be familiar for you, but I'm going to go through them one by one just to dispel any that might still be lingering there in the back of your brain. So myths that plant proteins taste bad, that they're not complete, that they can be hard to digest and gas forming, or that they are not as good in terms of performance for athletic activities. So first, let's look at vegan proteins tasting bad. So I'm going to debunk this because we know that things have come a long way from where they were when plant-based proteins first came out. So first off, taste. We've come a long, long way. Brands know how to combine ingredients so that things don't have that chalky, powdery, really gross texture and taste. And there's way more flavor options and better flavors. So they taste a lot better. And they're things that you want to actually consume versus just avoiding, or you buy it and then you just don't want to use it. So myth number 2, vegan proteins are incomplete. Well, as I said, different plant foods have different amino acid profiles, but we're not eating those foods in isolation. So we're combining different plant foods together in the same meal or even just throughout the day so our body can get what it needs from plant-based proteins. Now, this one's interesting. So vegan proteins are hard to digest. So there is some truth to this. It's not necessarily fully a myth because it can be hard on the gut for some people. But this is where utilizing some ancient techniques for fermenting and sprouting can really make these foods easier to digest and actually help to increase their nutrient value. And lastly, that performance concern. So I think that people's perceptions are shifting. I think people are becoming more educated and understanding more as plant-based living becomes a more popular option for people as there's just more education about it. But there is evidence upon evidence upon evidence to show, and there's just a few studies here that I've highlighted that show that using a plant-based protein versus a whey-based protein, the results are actually the same. So the 2013 study, it was rice protein versus whey, and the athletes had the exact same results in an 8-week trial. And in a 2015 study, which compared pea protein with whey, and this was a double-blind study, the pea protein actually promoted muscle growth to a higher level than or comparable to whey. So there's just so much information that really shows us that plant-based proteins are just as sufficient for our bodies in terms of what our goals might be and what we need for just basic nutrition as some of the non-plant-based options. But as I mentioned, in terms of those plant-based proteins and being hard on the gut, not all plant proteins are going to be the same. So this is where I'm going to talk more about the sprouting and the fermenting. So sprouting specifically can increase protein availability along with increasing antioxidants like vitamin C, increasing B vitamin availability in those specific plants, as well as minerals, amino acids, and different phytochemicals. So all of these different nutrients are becoming more available for your body to use because of the sprouting process. And then fermentation takes it a whole other step because it's helping to reduce anti-nutrients. So anti-nutrients are those protective mechanisms that plants naturally contain, things like phytic acid, protease, amylase inhibitors, lectins, and tannins. So all of these things serve an important purpose for the plant because they're trying to protect themselves from all kinds of different things, whether it's an animal trying to consume it against fungus and molds, but they can wreak havoc in our digestive system. So this is usually where people are having difficulty digesting things. And fermentation helps to improve the digestion of those proteins and carbs that are naturally found in those plants. So those microbes are helping to produce enzymes that can help to break down those aspects of those plants. And it helps to lower the flatulence producing carbohydrates. So it's helping to lower the amount of those gas producing components. So that's where you can really help people out, particularly who tend to have a bit more problem with some of those plants. And fermentation also improves the nutritional quality of food. So just as sprouting does, it can also increase the availability of amino acids, so protein content, improve the bioavailability of different minerals that normally would not have been available without fermentation, as well as increasing B vitamins and increasing antioxidant capacity. So certainly you want to be looking for these types of things in a protein powder, but also these are practices that we can also take into our own kitchens. We learn them that can help to increase the nutrient availability of some of the whole foods that you're consuming. So this is a really great little checklist to have on hand when you're just keep it in the back of your mind when you're at Nature's Fair or wherever else you might be shopping for your protein powder, and to make sure that you're checking off all of these boxes so that it's sprouted. You want to make sure that it's fermented bacterially. You also want to know that it has a good taste, and preferably look for one that's gluten-free and non-GMO. So the gluten-free aspect is essential for people who have a gluten intolerance or celiac, but it often can just help everybody else out as well from a digestive perspective. So keep that in the back of your mind when you're looking for your protein powder. And then also consider how much protein you might be consuming on a daily basis. Now, I know it's not as easy to be able to determine that when you've got a can of beans, or if you consume animal products, you've got a breast of chicken or something. But this is a great tool to just give you an idea if you're close to hitting the mark, or if you are not meeting your protein needs on a regular basis. So for anybody who's an adult, you should be consuming 10 to 35% of your daily calories from protein. So a really simple way to calculate this, if you want to grab your smartphone with your calculator app or an actual old school calculator, 0.8, so 0.8 grams times your body weight in kilograms. So you have to convert it from pounds to kilograms. And that's going to be the amount in grams of protein that you should eat per day. So you can divide that into however many meals you normally eat. But this is a great way to just kind of get a gauge of, am I getting close to enough protein, or do I need to be working on that a little bit more? And I just added a note at the bottom that if you're more physically active, you're a competitive athlete, then your protein demands are going to increase and you're going to need to calculate a little bit higher. So something to keep in mind, a little math. I know you probably weren't expecting to have to do math on a Wednesday evening, but it's certainly a valuable piece of information to collect for yourself. So let's quickly look at the iron vegan proteins that can help to amp up that protein amount if you're not quite getting enough. So iron vegan sprouted protein. So this is a blend of 5 different raw organic sprouted grains and seeds. So it's brown rice, quinoa, amaranth, millet, and pumpkin seed. So one of the things I love about this, aside that it's all sprouted and fermented, is that it doesn't have any pea protein in it, because I'm not a huge pea protein fan. I don't like the taste of it. So I was always drawn to this long before I worked with the Iron Vegan brand, but I certainly love this protein. And because of the blend of it, it's almost like flour. So I'll talk about that in just a second and some of the ways that you can use it. But per one scoop, you get 120 calories, 22 grams of protein, which is an awesome amount per scoop, 4 grams of fiber. It's really low in sugar and also low in fat. So all of the ingredients are organic. It's that family of sprouted proteins. We really want to harness that wisdom of sprouting and fermenting. It's also gluten-free and certified kosher. Has really delicious flavors. We've got a number of different flavor options available: vanilla, chocolate, unflavored, and salted caramel. And they're all naturally flavored and sweetened. So you have lots of options depending on what your taste buds desire. And it doesn't always have to be a shake. So I know protein powders have the reputation of, going into one of those shaker cups and being shaken up, and then you just consume that after you go to the gym. But for me personally, I love making smoothies in the morning, not as much in the winter, but you can go into smoothies. If you make any kind of homemade pudding, it's awesome for baking. Like I said, it's almost like a flour. And if you have one of the flavored ones, you can flavor something with vanilla or with chocolate or salted caramel. So in your bars, in your cookies, in your energy balls, I added them into some waffles I made on the weekend. Overnight oats or proats are certainly one of the more popular ways, and like the baked oat recipes that are going around now. And if you want to go unflavored, you can add it to soups, stews, or sauces, or any other vegan dish that you want to increase that protein amount. So there's a ton of different ways that you can use them. And there are lots of recipes out there. So certainly there are more resources than just the Iron Vegan website, but we have a ton of plant-focused individuals, whether they're influencers and athletes, who share their recipes on our website. So I encourage you to go and check that out for some inspiration. And for the more athletic focused person, we also have Athletes Blend. So this is really designed for the hard training athlete because it's combining a higher protein amount with the sprouted brown rice protein and the pea protein isolate. So this one does have pea protein, but it also has some complementary nutrients. So L-glutamine, this is a conditionally essential amino acid. It's needed for protein synthesis. And there's 8 grams total in the per serving of the Athletes Blend. There's also branched chain amino acids. So these are essential amino acids, so we need them every day. They also are supporting protein synthesis and anabolic and anti-catabolic activity, so helping with muscle building. And there's 7 grams per serving. Taurine's another amino acid. There's 250 milligrams per serving of that, plus beetroot. So this is a root vegetable. As you know, it's really rich in nitrates. So this also is helping with athletic performance. So there's 100 milligrams per serving. And then quercetin, which is a really potent antioxidant, and zinc. So zinc's an important mineral. It supports our immune response in particular, amongst many other things. But it's also often lacking in vegetarian and vegan diets. So it is an important mineral that we need every day that we might not be getting from our diet. So Athletes Blend per scoop gives you 30 grams of vegan protein, 2 grams of fat, 2 grams of fiber, only 1 gram of sugars, plus all of those high performance nutrients. And it's not sweetened or has no artificial flavors or sweeteners. Plus, with the Athletes Blend specifically, it's certified free of banned substances. So this is really important for those hard training athletes that are really competitive, anyone who's a professional athlete that can't have anything that has any trace of a doping substance. So this is tested for all of that. So it gives that assurance, which is really awesome. And if you are on the go, you can't make time to get the big plate of veggies that you might need. Iron Vegan also has sprouted protein bars. So this is a great option if you are on the go, but you want to grab something that is going to be a better, healthier, plant-based option. So each bar has 16 grams of vegan protein, those 5 sprouted grains and seeds, just like the sprouted protein powder, 15 grams of fiber per bar, which is amazing, and only 4 grams of sugar, plus no artificial flavors and sweeteners. And I don't know about you, but I find most protein powders out or protein bars out there have a lot of added sugar to make them taste good. So that's what I absolutely love about the sprouted protein bars, is that they're really low in sugar, but they taste amazing, especially the double chocolate brownie. It's absolutely my favorite. So they're non-GMO certified, family of those sprouted proteins, also using the sprouting and fermenting wisdom. They're gluten-free, taste delicious, and they come in 3 flavor options with another new flavor coming soon. So what does Jill need? She's going to need all of those things to support herself. So a protein powder, protein bars when she's busy, things to keep her energy up during the day, as well as to help her recover at the end of the day, plus the superfoods to really just keep her day at its peak with all of the essential superfoods and key nutrients. And Joe's going to look very similar. He's going to want all of those same things, but he's going to focus on the athlete's blend, so a more sport-specific protein powder, and really make sure he's covering that recovery period as well. So easy ways to incorporate these in the morning or as a pre-workout. You could try the balanced energy blend. You can use the Rebound Recovery in the evening or as your post-workout. Make sure that you're getting your daily protein needs through sprouted protein. I like to just toss in my superfoods and greens. And if you're taking things to the next level as an athlete, then make sure you're trying out the Iron Vegans Athletes Blend specifically. All right, we made it. I didn't leave as much time as I'd hoped, but we're still going to have time for questions. But I just wanted to thank you all for staying with me and for attending today. I hope you took a lot out of the presentation. It gives you some more ideas on how you can support your body and support all of your future endeavors. So I believe that the coupon's already been attached, just like Melissa said at the front end, but there's an exclusive offer for you. So you'll receive $10 off of Iron Vegan products when you spend $50 or more at Nature's Fair. Thanks again. I always enjoy the Nature's Fair community. You guys are awesome. So I look forward to some of the questions that you might have.
Thank you so much, Chelsea. And yes, the coupon is, you can download it right from this webinar, and I will be emailing that out as well tomorrow, along with the link for the replay video. All right, we do have a couple questions, so let's get right at it. We like our rapid fire questions, right, Chelsea?
Sure.
On average, how much is too much coffee per day?
Ooh, great question. Is definitely a little bit individual. I would say you have to evaluate how your body is responding to it. So, I mean, if you're consuming, I just read a stat recently about it, and I think you can have up to about 400 milligrams a day safely, but everyone's tolerance is different. So I would say if you're feeling jittery or anxious, or you're having digestive issues from the amount you're consuming, you probably need to back it off. And also don't consume it too late in the day, because that can also cause sleep disruption. And I actually have to cut myself off at noon so that I don't have problems sleeping later on from if I have coffee. So it's not exactly the full answer or like a straight answer, but hopefully that helps.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. All right, next up, would this drink be blood pressure friendly? I believe this is when we were talking about your recovery and fuel and energy blends.
Now, when it comes to any specific health condition, like if you have blood pressure issues, I always recommend that you double check with a healthcare practitioner first before any new supplement or natural health product. So you might want to just double check that with your doctor or other healthcare practitioner first.
Perfect. And then the same thing the same drinks. What's the sugar content of them?
Ooh, sorry. Which drink was that again?
It was when we were talking about the energy and refuel and
I have the sugar amount, not on this one. It's naturally sweetened just with stevia, so the actual milligrams of sugar would be very low. But the ones that are the Rebound Recovery and the Balanced Energy, it doesn't actually say on the label the sugar content because it's considered more of a supplement than a food. But I can try to find that information out and then pass that along to you if we've got an actual sugar milligram amount. But as I said, they're sweetened with stevia or monk fruit, and those typically have almost zero sugar.
Perfect. And same drinks, we're talking about the carbs. Do you know the amount of carbs in them?
That would be the same answer.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, jumping up to the sprouted protein. How would you compare that to tahini? This person uses tahini in energy balls.
Ooh.
As a replacement?
Yeah, that would be, I've used tahini in a few recipes. I think you could certainly substitute it. I mean, tahini's, has got more weight to it because it's thicker than a powder. So there might be a textural difference, but like protein content wise, like tahini's is from sesame seeds. So you're still going to be getting a decent amount of protein, just different texture.
Nice. And then to your bars, do they have soy in them?
No, I don't believe so. I'm trying to remember if the label says if there may contain soy. I'll have to double check that. Okay. But I know it's not an actual listed ingredient. So it would only be like if there was any chance in a processing facility, but I can double check that and then let you know, Melissa.
That sounds great. Next up is what kind of sugar is used in the bars?
It's also stevia.
That's the same. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I love this question too. This is, I've heard different philosophies on it. If you're trying to lose weight, this lady's been told not to drink her food. Any thoughts on that?
I don't think I agree with that, but certainly your body can get confused by some signals, like depending on what's happening with your digestion. I think in order for your digestive system to work optimally, like it's very easy to drink a lot of your meals if you're in a hurry. So smoothies aren't a bad thing, but maybe making your smoothie a little bit thicker so that you almost have to like chew the occasional part of it. That actually just helps to activate your digestive enzymes better with the chewing process. So it can help with that digestive process. So I don't know if there might be some reference to that when that person was saying that, but I think as long as you are being mindful of what you're choosing to consume, then it shouldn't be a problem.
Perfect. I don't think we have, oh, there's another one. No, I don't have any more questions, but I do have a few people that have requested to speak. And we don't normally do this, but Joanne, Audrey, and Justine, I've been noticing that you've been requesting to speak throughout this presentation. So I can try. Let's go with Joanne first. Let's see how this works. All right, give them a little bit. And then if you do have a question, please just put them in the chat box and I'd be happy to answer them, or at least ask Chelsea. All right, I think that's it. So I wanted to thank everybody and thank you, Chelsea, and as well as Iron Vegan. It's always a pleasure working with you, and definitely different. We love our webinars over our Facebook Lives, right?
Yeah, it's different, right? Both are great in different ways, but thank you again. I thoroughly enjoy these. I love the Nature's Fair community. You guys are so fantastic, and I always look forward to it. And I love, now that I live in the Okanagan, I love going into the Nature's Fair stores myself. So yeah, so wonderful evening. Thanks again.
Take care, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye.